Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. I am here barefaced and my true self today. Here's what I wanted to do, right? I find it really strange when I don't like a product in a video and someone is like outraged by the fact in the comments of a message, you're using it wrong, I hate you, you know, all this kind of stuff. It happens. So what I wanted to do was do a video where I read negative reviews of my favorite products while trying to, like, you know, explain away why they hate them. No, kind of like, I don't know, I just thought it'd be interesting. I'm gonna apply them as I go. I have some all ready for you, and just kind of think about maybe why perhaps it didn't work for this person, why it wouldn't have worked for this person, because not all products work the same for everyone. Something I love that works incredibly on my dehydrated, oily skin might not work so well on somebody with a similar skin type that's just oily or just dry. So let's start. Do consider subscribing first of all and giving this video a thumbs up. Let's get into it. Let's start with an absolute favorite of mine. This is the West Barn Co. Soap Brows. This is the extra strong hold because I have extra strong brows. You can see I've made a huge dent. You can almost see the bottom, but I have more. It's okay, I have a lot more. Now, let's read a few reviews of this one. Didn't work for me. I've been using Benefit's brow sweater for the last few months and wanted to try a soap as I saw that is better. This product is so difficult to use. You have to dig down into the soap with the bow hand. Not much comes out. It literally doesn't work for me, so I will continue on the hunt for another brow setter. Doesn't do anything. Really disappointing, holds for a few minutes and then drops. Tried with setting spray, hairspray, and even setting mousse, but nothing works. Spoolie is really flimsy too. Also, before we get into this, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. This is just entertainment reasons. Now, when I read those, in my mind, I was like, well, hairspray, setting spray, and all that kind of stuff, you don't mix with soap. When we use soap, it's soap. Water, so you activate it with water. And reading the first one especially, the fact they had to dig down makes me think they didn't activate it with water, although it says on the back to spray it with their prep mist. You don't have to dig down a lot at all. So I'm gonna spray it, one spray of Evian, and then I'm gonna use their spoolie. Now, with soap brows, you don't want it to be completely, this is any brand that is water activated, anything that's water activated, you don't want it to be soaking wet in water to a point where it's like this wet mush. You want it to be somewhere in between that and completely dry. You don't have to dig down. I'm angling my spoolie, this is their brush, amazing, and I'm just gonna go backwards and forwards like this. And then I'm gonna flip it around. You can see this on the brush and do the same. And then I'm gonna roll it around in there. Now I can tell it's the right texture because it doesn't foam up. If it foams up, you've gone too far. If you don't get any on the brush and it isn't white, you haven't done enough. Then what you have to do, comb through the brows from root to tip like this. Then mess them up, go backwards so we get right to the root of that brow. Be quick because this will set. Go through again. One more time, and then we're gonna brush them by rolling this brush through out to where we want our brows to be. I'm now gonna push it down with my finger like so. Brush through again, one more time, lightly, gently, fix this edge here. I'm gonna take this, well, this is just for me, but that bit there, I'm gonna cut through my scar. And that is a soap brow. Let me tell you, this holds for longer than a minute. I have to wash this off my face at the end of the day. Well, I have to wash all my makeup off at the end of the day. If my skin's lucky, I'll do it. But it holds all day. My brows are notorious amongst myself at not holding with any other product. So you can do this with every single brow product, even the ones that don't require water. This technique of brushing through, then backwards, and then back into the position you want it. But do make sure you roll at the same time because you're trying to get every single hair into place. And you want to go right from that root. And by rolling, we're capturing the brow root to tip. And that's spiky soap brows. And of course you don't have to do them as spiky as this. You can like literally lay them down a little bit flatter if you want to. Whatever you want, whatever your dreams say is that day. Okay, let's go on to our next product. This is Brow Flick from Glossier, one of my absolute favorite brow pens, especially to use in conjunction with brow products because I find it actually draws over soaps and things like that. Very disappointed. The color is far too dark. It looks ridiculous on me. The tip doesn't keep rigid, so it's so difficult to draw hairs, especially when you have eyebrow hair. So it needs extra pressure. Mostly I'm so annoyed about the color as it's not blonde at all. It's a brown color and it's quite dark. Wasted my money. That is disappointing. Hard to control and no definition. The tip is like a paintbrush, so it's hard to actually shape your brow. The tip is so dry, at least mine was, and barely made a difference in my natural brow. Okay, so here's a few things that I think with pens like this you need to be wary of, right? Just like any kind of ink pen, you need to kind of store it this way, not this way, kind of maybe this way, not this way, maybe this way, because the tip here needs to soak up your product, so you need to leave it down for a little bit. Yes, it is a brush tip, but I mean, you don't need to apply too much pressure to get, like I'm using the very light pressure to get those brush hairs. If you apply too hard, you're gonna get this really unnatural heavy stroke. I did find the comment using it in, it's hard to create brows when you have brows a little bit strange. Let's take for example this area here, right? Where my brows are quite patchy. I'm gonna use the very tip of this pen and just go ahead and add individual brow strokes. I'm using my finger here, oh you can't see, I'm using my finger here to stop me going in too hard. And it almost sounded to me like the person in the second review wanted to do like squarer brows, because I really think this brow pen is for gently adding hairs. It's not like a pencil where you can kind of like just drag it around and fill it in, you know? So you can definitely fill in those gaps in the brow easy. But I think perhaps these kind of products are for a very specific brow type and a very specific technique. I wouldn't suggest it over a pencil if you just like to, you know, draw in the full shape of your brows. It's definitely just for creating the occasional hair in your brow, just like, you know, calligraphy pens. What? That doesn't make sense. I don't know why I said that. I personally really like that one, but again, it is oh, this vein in my eyes, I'm crazy today. It is just a product where you do have to be very specific. It's for a very specific type of brow. If I didn't laminate my brows and spike them up, I probably just would use a pencil. Okay, let's talk about one of my favorite foundations of the year, the Haus Triclone foundation. Let's read some reviews. Ready? Are you ready for this? This foundation feels cakey on the skin. I've ordered for the first time and it was too light with orange undertones. Okay. When I complained, they issued me another foundation which was too dark with the same orange undertones. The foundation is thick. I'm not happy with this brand and definitely won't order again. Directly underneath, bummer, foundation too thin, no coverage for me. Not worth the hype. I read and saw so many amazing reviews that perhaps my expectation was too high. This is a hydrating foundation with a nice coverage and a beautiful packaging. I also love that it's offered in many colors. But the problems start. It's incredibly hard to select the correct color. Even with the quiz, mine is a bit too yellow, but this is not the main problem. Let's get to it. To me, the main problem is that foundation doesn't melt into the skin. It just sits on top of the skin, hence moves around a lot, even after being baked with powder. It's not gonna melt into the skin or being baked. Is it a bad foundation? No. Is it worth the price? No. For me, same price range, I've tested way better. Listen, as soon as someone tells me they've baked it to try and improve something, I'm like, you've ruined it. Okay, let's get to it. Skin prep. If your foundation isn't becoming part of your skin or melting into your skin, it could be something to do with skin prep or your application. Let's use this foundation and let's really like melt it into our skin. If you're watching this, person who said that, let me tell you, okay, a few pumps of the Haus Labs. Love, love, love. Let's start with brushes first. I'm not using a beauty blender. I'm not using a beauty blender. I'm not using hands or fingers or anything like that. I am going to, first of all, blot away any excess skincare I have on my skin. We want a nice, clean, Clean face if you're finding out your foundation isn't melting into your skin. We're gonna use a brush that is more solid. Okay, a firm brush. This is a Makeup by Mario one, the double-sided one. I can't remember what it's for. I'm gonna take a little bit, I'm gonna start where we're most red, and we're gonna tap and push. But not push like you don't want to hurt your skin. Just keep tapping and pushing until that's blended nicely into the skin. And check up on it. Check up where does it need a little bit more pushing in? Where does it need a little bit more blending? Mine looks fine. So I'm just gonna move on. Done. Looks like my skin. You can see texture still, you can see everything. Over here, pushing into that area. Focus and concentrate on one area at a time. When we use too much product, by the way, I'm on a beard growing journey, so I do apologize for the roughness around this area. But for a product to become part of your skin, look at the spot on my neck, let's cover that up. You do need it. It does need a bit of help, you know? Beauty blenders, dripping the foundation on your skin, using too much, not taking your time. And I don't mean sit there for an hour, like this is only gonna take me like 5 minutes. But I think we live in this world, and I'm assuming they're a little bit younger because they said they baked. But you can see it looks like my skin. It's nice and glowy, but there's this kind of like, we have this need at the moment, or this trip, that's too much. See, I went in with too much. That's where you're gonna run into issues. Let's put some up there. We have this kind of like very quick application techniques that are kind of like popular online, where we're dripping it on our face, pounding it into our face, and not really listening to our skin, not listening to what our skin needs, not listening to what our brushes are doing, our beauty blenders are doing, or do we even need a beauty blender? Some things work great for some situations, some things don't. So because this brush is it has an angle to it, it's really dense in terms of the hairs, it's quite short, I'm getting a really good press into my skin, and it's not going to separate it. It's going to be absolutely fine. And I have done a review on this, and I did a wear test as well, so I will link that below for you. It's on my face. It looks like skin. It feels like my skin. It doesn't feel heavy. It isn't going anywhere. And again, I understand this foundation might not be for everyone, but if your issue is a foundation in general doesn't look like it's part of your skin, application is where you're going wrong. Let's talk about the highlighter from Rare Beauty, one of the most beautiful highlighters I've ever used in my life. Gets lost on Beauty Blender. The highlights get lost on a damp Beauty Blender. Don't use it. I would probably find a more inexpensive highlighter next time, not worth the money. Not pigmented and runny. I started out using a small amount and it didn't show on my skin. I used a little more. After that, it felt like kind of greasy and gritty, and the shade and glitter didn't really show on my skin after that. There was just shine. The texture is more runny than I expected, and the shade wasn't as pigmented or glittery as I preferred. Okay, that's strange. You can change up what you use. A damp beauty blender for a liquidy product like this isn't great anyway. You're kind of gonna, even if it's like you've wringed it out as much as possible, you're really gonna kind of dilute that product. It's really not worth it. In terms of glitter, there isn't really glitter in this product. It's metallic more than anything. So if you do use a tiny amount like this, for example, and tap it in, and I've used the smallest little bit, you do get a very nice natural shine. But I mean, I would use a brush on my fingers for this. You kind of want to press it again onto the skin. And if you don't have it, I mean, I don't believe in changing up your whole makeup routine to accommodate a product, you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe in foundations where it's like, use this primer instead, or use this instead. But if you don't have a beauty blender, just use your fingers. Like, I don't understand everyone's like love for damp beauty blenders, you know? It gives a beautiful shine, like the smallest amount. What I would love to know, are there any products that you absolutely despise but everyone seems to love, or vice versa? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.